Hello? Have you ever been stuck in a language class, buried under grammar rules and translation exercises? If that sounds familiar, you have encountered the grammar translation method. Let me ask you, does this centuries-old technique still have a place in modern teaching? We're going to answer this question later on. So stick with me, and by the end of this video, you will know everything about the grammar translation method. For example, its history, strengths, weaknesses, and most importantly, how we can reinvent it for today's classrooms. So whether you are a teacher, a student, or just curious about learning languages, this video is for you. First, what is the grammar translation method? This method dates back centuries, originally designed to teach dead languages like Latin and Greek. What is the idea of this method? Students focus on translating texts from and to their native language, while memorizing grammar rules and vocabulary. So this method is structured, systematic, and for better or worse, it's an old school. Here is what the grammar translation method looks like in action. This method focuses on memorizing vocabulary and grammar. Here, students often work with lists of words and grammar charts. Number 2, translation practice. Here, students translate sentences or entire paragraphs back and forth between languages. Number 3, focus on reading and writing. While speaking and listening are sidelined, reading comprehension and writing accuracy are front and center. Like here, the system in Vietnam, the same. So number 4, teacher-centered approach. The teacher explains rules, corrects mistakes, and leads the class. So learners play a more passive role. The grammar translation method became the gold standard for centuries. Why? Simply because it suits the needs of the time. In the past, people learned Latin or Greek to read texts, gain knowledge, and not to chat over coffee. Also, the structured nature of the method made it easy for teachers to follow and students to assess their progress. So, times have changed, and so have our goals for language learning. We know that the grammar translation method became the gold standard for centuries. But why? Because it suited the needs of the time. In that time, people in the past, people learned Latin or Greek to read texts, to gain knowledge, but not to chat over coffee. Also, the structured nature of the method made it easy for teachers to follow structures, and also students to assess their progress. So times have changed, and also our goals for language learning. But hey, who is the fighter of this method? Interestingly, there is no one. Grammar translation method evolved over time, heavily influenced by classical education traditions in Europe. Scholars in the 18th and 19th centuries formalized it to teach modern languages like French and German. but its roots go much deeper, tracking back to the days of Aristotle. What's the problem with the method? Here is the thing. While the grammar translation method has its strengths, okay, but it's far from perfect. Here is why. Number one, it lacks speaking and listening skills. Imagine learning Vietnamese for years, but not knowing how to order a coffee in Ho Chi Minh. That's the biggest flaw. In brief, it doesn't prepare learners for real-world communication, and this is what's happening here in Vietnam. We use grammar translation method. Number two, it focuses on accuracy over fluency. Students are so focused on getting right, and they are so scared of making mistakes. They are afraid of making mistakes. And language learning should be about expression, not perfection. Number three, this method is monotonous and overly academic. Let's face it, memorizing grammar, rules, and translating texts can get boring, and so many students lose motivation. Number four, this method is teacher-driven, not learner-centered. It relies heavily on the teacher, leaving little room for creativity or learner independence. So how can we fix this? Absolutely, the grammar translation method isn't all bad. With just a few tweaks, we can modernize it and make it more engaging. So here is why, or how. Number one, pair it with communicative techniques. For example, use translations to explain complex grammar, then follow up with speaking or role-play activities. For example, after translating sentences, have students create their own dialogues using the same grammar structure that they already have memorized. Number two, integrate real-life contexts. You can move beyond text translations. You are the boss of your classes. Instead of translating random sentences, try translating recipes, movie subtitles, or even Instagram captions. So this will make it practical and fun. Number three, use technology. For example, Google Translate or apps like Duolingo can make translation exercises more interactive. Also pair them with classroom discussions to analyze mistakes and improve accuracy. Number four, encourage collaborative learning. Turn translation exercises into group activities. Let students work together to translate a passage and discuss their choices. This may foster teamwork and communication skills. So how can teachers use it effectively? Guys, the grammar translation method can be a valuable tool if used wisely. Let me tell you how. Number one, use it to build a foundation for beginners. Foundation for beginners only. Translating sentences is a great way to learn grammar rules and vocabulary. This is what we call comprehensible input. Please check Stephen Krashen here. Two, balance it with speaking and listening practice. After translating a passage, ask students to explain the sentences aloud or act them out. Number three, make it creative. Instead of traditional texts, use song lyrics, short stories, or even memes for translation. Number four, don't overuse it. Don't overuse it. This method is only one piece of the puzzle. So you need to combine it with dynamic methods like task-based learning or communicative language teaching. And these methods, we're gonna see them later on. So how can learners benefit from this? If you are a language learner, I will show you how you can make the grammar translation method work for you. Number one, use it to understand grammar. Write translations to spot patterns in sentence structure. Number two, try self-translating. Take a paragraph from a book or article and translate it into your target language. 3. Analyze your mistakes. Translation exercises highlight the gaps in your understanding, so use them as a learning opportunity. Number 4, don't stop at translation. Practice speaking and listening to balance your skills. So what's your take on the grammar translation method? Have you ever used it as a teacher or learner? Let me know in the comments how it works for you or how you have improved on it. Guys, if you are passionate about making language learning fun and effective, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. As you know, I have a target to reach 1,000 subscribers by this month. So if you appreciate educational content, please help me reach my goal. Remember, the more you help maximum people to reach their goals, the more you succeed and you reach your goals too. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Goodbye.